Hello, this is International News of Lisa Luciarden. Thank you so much. Many of you may not know, but I am on the prior onset of no vaccinations the first month after the CCCP came into existence, because I knew it was happening in November because I lived in San Marino, California, and that's where the Chinese do live. And they knew that there was a virus. And I also had a vision of this virus, this poison, before 2016 regarding that they were going to poison the people. But I am a science and philosopher. I've been in the medical business for 20 years. That's my first onset of critical thinking. Besides the geopolitical issues, I studied that side by side with economy and so forth. But I want to just update my information here. In my book, that I said no vaccinations because there's infertility. And infertility, I'll make it very simple. Their infertility and inflammation of the cells, those were the two main things of the CCP itself, the CCP vaccination. And infertility has many equations that the equations of when you have the baby, a baby in the mommy's womb from conception to delivery, there's many equations that are similar that we use every day in our bodies. So we could use that in relativity, that any of those equations that are relative to our everyday life as a human could have effect in the same way. But all disease starts with inflammation of the cell. So because they want to depopulize, okay, and that's why they did infertility. That's why when they made the CCP virus vaccination, they wanted to depopulize and deform the cell makeup itself. And as in 2011, I told you that they were going to do this to the people. So I want to show our beautiful RFK, because RFK has been in the business with medical practice for years, okay, and vaccinations and other things. I didn't know. As I told you, I asked President Trump under all my books for many years to consider the pharmaceuticals, because I had a small pharmacy with my ex-husband, because I am a physician assistant, but I worked side by side with him for 20 years at all different levels. But we had a pharmacy, so I saw the contraindications of the medicines that people would take. But I also am a science and philosopher working and studied in all different type of courses, from veterinary medicine to nutrition to alternative medicine to critical thinking to philosophy, and also working with friends and speaking with friends that are scientists. So our beautiful RFK shows here that the COVID vaccine recommendations, what facts and risks. And he says that in 1 minute video, the U.S. Health Human Services Secretary Kennedy Jr. revoked the Centers of the Disease Control Prevention recommendation that healthy children and healthy pregnant women be vaccinated for COVID, leaving some experts concerned and others that I do not believe that it should be taken. That's what I believe. We should revoke the centers. Revoke the centers. He says we should not have it. There's many contraindications of what's happened, and in my past podcasts, it shows all that, because I've been working with Podcast Business News in New York. Podcast Business News in New York. I have that in Lisa Luciard, and you can look that up. But you can look at all my past work, but it's in my books. We cannot have this. This was part of the strategy to have World Health Control, World Economic Control, the vote to take away our votes for one of the greatest disasters of America, when they took away our votes for when President Trump won. And also now the wars, Russian war, and the Ukraine war, and Hamas, and the Israel war. These are all pre-planned ideas to take down and make one world government. But we're not going to have this. We are going to work together, and we're not going to have vaccinations for measles jabs and other things, because he showed that there's a lot of our beautiful RFK show that there's a lot of, why do our children have so many diseases? And he believes this a lot is from the vaccinations. And why are people so unhealthy? I believe it's from the pharmaceuticals, the vaccinations, and the foods we eat. And I discuss this as a science and philosopher. I also am that. That was my first onset. I've been doing that for years before I started geopolitical issues and economy issues with America and the world. And you could see my work in my past podcast, but let's get going and show you about we cannot have any vaccinations. And we should recommend it. It shouldn't be required for the children to go to school. And we should not, the children and the pregnant women should not have any vaccinations of CCP. And by the way, the children that took the vaccinations had many diseases after, but the children that did take the vaccinations didn't. But why would they give the children a vaccination when 0.0001 practically didn't have problems with the CCP virus? This is very serious. So I believe we shouldn't have the vaccinations, and I'll show you in my book right away here. And this is a calling. This is a calling that we need to come together in truth, in understanding. This is my book again. I have 3 new books. In God, our miracle. In God, America, our miracle. In God, nations, our miracle. In God, for me, is God, just like George Washington believed in Abraham. I believe also in the God of Abraham that corrects us and delivers us. And it corrects us when we seek his correction. And that's what we're trying to do right now. That's a perfect word. Thank you. Correct us. Because we're correcting the issues we made and the deformities we made in our own country, the way we make our food, the way we do our pharmaceuticals, the vaccinations, our country, economy, everything. We're restoring, we're correcting it. And we have the power by the wisdom of God actually in the people. And that's what we're doing now under President Trump. And that's what every country needs to do to protect their country, to save UK, to save Finland, to save Sweden, to save Australia, to save Ireland. Those are your countries. You need to correct what God has given you, because evil and also men's sin and also incorrect ideas have tried to destroy it. So you could never allow any other country, any other culture to take your nation. It has to be corrected. We have the same problem, but ours weren't directly people that were trying to take our nation that were Islamic regime or Islamic. It was people that were third world country ideas that want to make our country third world country and democratic elite communist. But we are free from that, and we are on board here. So this is it right here, the pharmaceuticals. I will briefly speak about the topic, yet it's mandatory after safety. Safety, I said, is first, then peace, justice, reconciliation, and forward building in strategic wisdom and knowledge. Those are the things that are most important. Food and housing and world health go into tandem with pharmaceuticals, because safety first, and then food and housing, and then world health go in tandem with pharmaceuticals. I can speak volumes about this. They make pharmaceuticals that are not best for the people. Many pharmaceuticals cause more significant diseases, and they need to be readdressed. We know of the course of what much of work is to cure diseases, yet much is not suitable for people. During the CCP vaccinations, we know that $100 billion were made. $100 billion was made of Pfizer. Are you listening? And 40 people became billionaires. And some states have taken, are you listening? Some states have taken Pfizer and other of these vaccination companies, pharmaceuticals, to court for mediation for because they shouldn't have made that vaccination and said it was okay to give. And I think all of the states should take them to court and get money back and give it to the people. And 40 people became billionaires. Are you listening? $100 billion they made, and 40 billion people became millionaires. Billionaires, billionaires. And so these are facts. We also know that there have been facts, many who believe the vaccinations were made to destroy and weaken and kill the people. That's what I said, because they weaken the the organs because they inflammation of the cell, and inflammation of the cell, and they get it for the weak people. And mostly, I did statistic in California because I was begging Newsom to open up the businesses because people were indirectly asking me to do that. And I did. I wrote a short statistic, and it showed that most of the people that died were 75 years and older. Okay. And they're mostly in the house or they go to the mall. They weren't working. The working people didn't get the CCP virus. Okay. And so it was destroyed. And then we had the lockdowns, and then we had to print a lot of money. And that's what got us in big, big debt. And Biden printed more money than any other president in existence of time. And we printed, America under Biden, more money than any other country in existence of time. And we have the highest debt. But President Trump is doing a beautiful job. That's why he's bringing back self-sufficiency in our country. And we're trying to get excellent business with tariffs, with China. But China took advantage of, and 70% of all EU, and this all relates, okay? 70% of all EU, are you listening? Makes their money from we import their products from EU. Are you listening? USA, $985 billion. And this all relates, okay? Because it's geopolitical power. So everything we do in a country, we have to look at the contradictions. That's why I'm asking for EU to buy our oil, to buy America oil instead of Russia, and then no tariffs. Okay? We could do that. They could buy our liquid oil and change it to gaseous oil, which they need. So let's go on. About this. And the reason why I put money involved and talk about the oil, because it all relates. It all relates. We have to save our country. We need to restore our country, and every other country needs to too. Africa cannot be taken advantage of and have China make things that are not necessary and have bad contracts, because they built highways and other ways in China built for Africa, but they haven't made money. They need to make business to use those infrastructures. So this goes on and on. It's called geopolitical power. And when you make one decision, you have to look at the contradictions of all decisions. So in this decision, and that's what I'm saying, we need to get our money back, okay, from these pharmaceutical companies. Is this what I'm asking? So we need the pillars of existence of life, economic controls, world health controls, stopping communication with people, lockdowns, globalization, which is in the multicultural belief system, which is a problem with what's going on with the world today with the protesters, that they don't know the issues that are very, very serious with, there could be nuclear, but we don't want nuclear, and we're not going to have it. During the CCP vaccination, we know that there was $100 billion were made from Pfizer, I'll repeat, and 40 people became billionaires during that period. Did the unproven scientific fact that vaccinations should be used to save a life because it is proven that they would protect the save of life? No, it wasn't proven. And that's what I said, that they didn't need the vaccinations, and they took me in handcuffs and took me to for many things that I've said and made lies about me because I said no vaccinations and no other things. It's a very, very serious thing that they didn't have the scientific fact that the CCP vaccination would be good for the people. They didn't have enough statistics in science. As a philosopher, science and philosopher, 20 years, I was in medical practice for 20 years. And we had a pharmacy, and we did general medicine. I did general medicine with the people. And we did physicals, but I also studied about molecules and atoms in philosophy, and also worked side by side with ideas with scientists as friends in discussion at the Caltech Institute of the Thinning Club, where all the scientists went. I was a part of that. But I was trained to study critical thinking about what is good for the human, what it is to be human. Now let's go on. This is a calling This is a calling of the people that they need to come together, okay, with what happened to America and the people they took of the whole world. These are the urgencies. Lisa Lucia Arden, I'm a political analyst, expert, and specialist, proven by the fact of my writing, speaking, and even singing to wake up the people of geopolitics, help with military strategy, microplastics. In 2007, I talked about microplastics. That's why I have the bag I showed you, canvas bag, and it's all in our foods, and it's in our animals and our fish, and an expert and specialist with recycling. I asked, that's why I wanted to solve the problem that we could do recycling in each state, and we could have recycling companies. Are you with me? And that could bring money for the homeless. And then poverty issues, homelessness, technology, urgency, drugs, no vaccinations, education, health, pharmaceuticals, borders, EMFs, biowarfare, and citizens, chemical spraying, economy, international diplomacy, mediation of complex issues, nutrition, agriculture, protection of children, and stop abortions to protect children from transgender. Stop abortions, they use the children as scientific research. The babies, the fetuses. Are you with me? These are all things I worked on. I'm a political analyst, politician, but they blocked me on, I delivered the information, Lisa Luciard did, but then they took my ideas. So that's why I'm proving this. I'm proving to show you, I worked on all these, it's all in my books, and how to solve the issues. In hindsight, in 2011, I have an article about the hindsight of many of these things. Food processing, we got to stop that. Just like RFK said, we have to have better foods. RFK said, why is our country so sick? America's the worst healthy people in the whole world is because the way they make the foods, the pharmaceuticals, I believe it's also the chemical spraying, and also the vaccinations that they give. Are you with me? And so does our beautiful RFK. I'm not saying everybody's not healthy in America. There's many, many healthy people, but we have the highest sickness in any world, and overweight and sick, and our health in America is not good because of these things. And I worked on that for many years. I wrote a book on alternative medicine in 2014, and I got in trouble for it. And I showed how the Gerson's method to eat well could cure you to eating well. It could cure cancer, everything. Dr. Gerson's, they actually killed him years ago. That was in the time when he was leaving, Gerson apostrophe S, Gerson's. Because he showed that by foods, we could cure our bodies. But pharmaceuticals, as you know, pharmaceutical companies try to control politics. They try to control countries and America itself. That's why our beautiful RFK is trying to explain. And we have to understand also there's other alternative medicines that we could use. And I wrote a book on this, Dr. Beck's protocol in electrotherapy. It's a very serious thing of a very soft pulse. And now they use bioresonant, things like that to heal. It's very, very serious. You don't need medicine for everything. But I do believe in medicine. I do. But I believe in looking at the Western medicine and pharmaceuticals and seeing how they help the people, what are the contraindications over a long period of time. Because the body becomes immune to the pharmaceuticals over a period of time. And then also, number one, I'm a prayer warrior because my first degree was divinity. So that's the first thing. I'm a prayer warrior because my first degree is divinity. And I'm an international advisor, and I did infrastructure, housing, all these things, manufacturing of toxins, and also stop corporate censorship. I talked about that for years in 2021 and before. When I wrote the first edition of Our Need to Give to the World in 2016, you can see my work, and then after that I had a new edition. So we need to come together, and this is a calling out of all nations and all peoples. Vaccinations of death are a crime to be mandatory. They should have never had mandatory vaccinations, and they cause a lot of death. People have known, and I've heard, and they've told me in scientific it means that also that the cells are not working properly like they would if they did take the vaccinations. That is hypothetical, but they could probably find that. But that is logical. But we're not talking about all the details right now. We're talking about why not to have it. And then the EMFs, the vaccinations, the way they make the vaccinations relate to the EMFs, they put like a nanoparticle inside your body, and in some cases they could have put a microchip in the vaccinations. Did you know that? In the EMFs, they spray in the EMFs and they connect to the vaccinations. Radiation they use, the radiation of the EMFs. The EMFs, are you listening? That they put in the electric lines, and then they do chemical spraying. You saw all that. You saw that. It's a very serious, it's a very complex issue, but it is true. It's true. Stop pharmaceuticals and vaccinations. Use alternative medicine. And in some things, they used alternative medicine that worked, but there should have not been mandatory vaccinations, and it shouldn't have been given. Many people died. Most people had contraindications when they took the vaccinations. Many people did. I don't have all the details in front of me because that's not my main point in this discussion. It's just to show again that we cannot have vaccinations. We cannot have all these shots for the children that they give that could kill the children, and plus for America, because as our beautiful RFK said, that the children have a high rate of autism and other diseases, and he believes with his study, his research, and his team, he believes that that these contraindications of the health systems of the children is due to the shots. Vaccination is the death of a crime and it shouldn't be mandatory. So let us go on now and tell you about pharmaceuticals. You know, they make pharmaceuticals that are they're chemicals, they're synthetic, and they help the body maybe a certain time, but then you have to assess these pharmaceuticals all the time and see, and the doctor has to be able to assess, is that medicine, did the body become immune to it? Do you have contraindications? And how does it help the body? Is it good enough to take the pharmaceutical to achieve the health of the body, or is it better to take another alternative medicine? These are all questions that need to be asked as a medical professional. But pharmaceuticals are made in China, and you have to be very careful, and they have contraindications, and they're very high. They charge so much money, the pharmaceutical companies, and they wine and dine these doctors. Are you listening? Because remember, I was married to a doctor. I'm a PA. I don't have a doctor's certificate, MD. I don't have a certificate of physician assistant, but I worked in a medical practice for 20 years. They would try to wine and dine us to buy pharmaceuticals. And they have these big conventions where they give money so that all the doctors come, so they'll buy their pharmaceuticals. And many of those are not good. They have to be corrected. And there has to be assessment on all pharmaceuticals. I appreciate your time. I wanted to tell you that the laws and regulations of the CCP virus, CCP vaccinations, and lockdowns, the food system is the way they are processed. This is a sentence that needs to be corrected. These are a mention of few. See, this is how quantity monetizing foods is not considering people's welfare. So what they do, I talked about this in the past. I have a philosophical statement, which is true, even though it's philosophy, but it's based on facts, that that we can't monetize our businesses and our countries. In just think about monetizing. We have to think about the well-being of the people. The well-being, just like Iran can't think about the monetization and the political ideology, its relative, of wanting to be imperialistic nation and come in and get another nation, and not think about the welfare of nuclear warfare. Do you know what I mean? To kill many people, destroy your atmosphere. That's relative. Do you understand? And monetization and power of human political ideology to not put the people well-being first should not be that way. And this runs across the board. That's what I'm saying. It's a geopolitical world now. There's problems with the geopolitical countries that want to take power. And some of them, just like someone said, that Iran, is this true? Iran leaders will tell you one thing and they'll do another thing. Is that true? Look it up. I heard someone say that, but I didn't study them enough to see whether that was really factual. But the Iranian people don't want to have nuclear. They don't want to have the nuclear warfare. They don't want to have making nuclear uranium. This is very serious. And on the other hand, we need to say, how long can we wait before we attack? You know, that's what President Trump did and Netanyahu, to take down those nuclear products that they make, because they were making it. These are all, but they're doing this. The leader of Iran is doing this at the expense of life and death of the civilian, the people. The people have to pay for it, which is wrong. And this runs across the board. That is very serious. The people have to pay for it, and we cannot have this any longer. All children and all leaders have to put the people first. And you know why they have to put the people first? Because there's geopolitical powers now of countries that are so severely evil, like President Reagan was said, so politically evil and treacherous that they would rather kill their countrymen and have their political ideology in their mind, like Russia and China. China came and did war on America through the fentanyl. People don't talk about that. People, many drug addictions, and 78,000 died just this year of fentanyl. It's at every side. So Russia's fighting the war with Ukraine. Israel's fighting the war with Hamas and Iran and Hezbollah, all those at the same, Lebanon, everything. And we are fighting the role, helping them, America, but also the fentanyl. And now we have geopolitical issues. Are you with me? With offices, I call them offices, which I warned, that are set up in America, and we all need to pray. But God is a God of mercy to those who believe in his love and are faithful and are righteous in justice. He'll save us. I'm not saying there could be some legalities, but he'll save us. He'll save his remnant, and he'll save his people that seek him first. And that's what we all, in all countries, have to seek justice in God's purpose, in God first. Because none of us is infallible. All of us had open borders and we let anybody in. We have to be very, very careful. And remember, the criminals that start the trouble, they have ways to get in to look like they have a passport, look like they're well-to-do people. We have to be very careful, and we are. And we are doing a beautiful job, and I believe that we could make we could make a negotiation with Iran and Israel at this point. We can make a negotiation with pharmaceutical companies, World Health Control, and the UN. We can't be any part of that, any countries. And the World Economic Forums, they cannot control our countries. This is a calling on of all nations to come to the truth. And this is all in the love of the children. But I hate to tell you this, and I'll tell you, 900 children are being trafficked at this very moment. For us in America, they found many, and I'll do another video on that. But recently they found hundreds of criminals for human trafficking of children. This children have to be found. Where are they? From the war of Ukraine and Russia, and it's so devastating. I feel so terrible about the Palestinian children. They should have all been taken out. I asked in October, but they didn't listen. But I believe in the love of God, and the purpose of the strength, of the purpose of love of each other. We can make things anew and even have a miracle. It's not too late. I'm a political consultant, guard of solutions for USA and humanity, and I sing, and I'm also a speaker, and I'm also artist. It's a children's book, Jesus Christ, Salvation for All. It has like 20-something languages about the story of the purpose of God's love for us. Thank you so much. This is Lisa Luchard. Please look me up. I appreciate your time. And please donate and help us. Thank you.